going on, brothers and sisters? Last week we had a really tough conversation, or at least it was hard for me to read about how there was some persecution happening in other parts of the world for Christians. It's not something that happens in the U.S. It's not something that I'm directly exposed to, so it's something that for me, when I read about it, it causes me to reflect. And upon reflecting, it really allowed me to see that God has actually been using persecution not only for Jesus as he was persecuted, it actually brought forth something good happening, our salvation, but it also teaches us a valuable lesson about one of the authors of several books in the New Testament, and his name was Paul. His former name was Saul, and he was known to be somebody that persecuted Christians, and on his way to Damascus to persecute more Christians outside of the area that he was previously in, he was encountered by the voice of the Lord coming down and a bright light appearing. It actually blinded Saul, and it allowed him to really reflect and call God by name. As we see here in the scripture, as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly a light shone around him from heaven. Then he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" And he said, "Who are you, Lord?" Then the Lord said, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. It is hard for you to kick against the goads." And now I had a little bit of trouble understanding what the goads phrase was, but upon looking online, it was actually a tool that farmers used to use, and it was a sharp tool that allowed them to guide the animals in the direction that the shepherd or farmer wanted them to go in. And the point of Jesus saying this at the end of, "It is hard for you to kick against the goads," is him saying, look, I am the master shepherd, and God's will is ultimately my will, and my will, you cannot go against it, or you're going to end up continuing to hurt yourself or continuing to be somebody that's not in the plan that I'm trying to execute. So Saul, in hearing from the Lord and hearing his voice and being blinded, was convinced, and his first words are, "Lord, who are you?" And Jesus reveals himself. So this is a huge moment in the Christian faith, as somebody that was previously persecuting the church actually was the author of harm, death to even an early church believer, and his name was Stephen, I believe. And for somebody like that to be turned into a person that was a utensil and a tool that God used to speak amazing things, and even like the early believers in the church and the disciples and apostles, they were even a little confused at Paul's transformation, and they were not fully convinced until he had spoken about Jesus so highly and told them about how he had gone to these different groups and had spoken the truth about Jesus Christ, because he had just, this is such a radical transformation, that he had just been talking about how he was going to be persecuting, and he had been executing that. And so for him to then turn around, they had all known him for something completely different and the opposite. So for a lot of them, they must have been confused. So again, this is just an amazing story. And at the end, like, I wanted to just say, like, how is this possible? It's possible because, one, it was God's will, and two, it just highlights God's mercy, God's forgiveness, God's grace. And for us to be able to receive that, saying that God didn't come for the people that were righteous or the people that were already clean. It clearly states that in the scriptures, that Jesus said he came to heal the sick, and he came for those that needed a physician. He came for those that know that they're in sin, that need forgiveness, that need cleansing. So I just hope that as Christians or as believers or as people that are interested in hearing more about Jesus, we can understand what he actually calls us to and who he calls. He doesn't call people who don't need a physician. He calls people that are sick and that are away from God, and he calls them back towards himself, because he wants a relationship with us. He will transform your life just like he did with mine. And for all of his believers, just like Saul, he's a perfect example. So that was just something that I was thinking about as we look out and we look into the world and we see all the evil that's being done, and it's just like, how are we just gonna wait until the end when everybody is judged for there to be justice? No, Jesus is continuing to work on his people. He's continuing to work on people that are outside who you would think he would work with or he would reveal himself to. So this is a big thing about also forgiveness for other people. Don't think that somebody is too far gone when they're not. Don't think that just because somebody is acting this way today, that tomorrow God won't reveal himself to them. Everybody's on their different time schedule, and it's just something important to keep in mind. Stay blessed, and I'll see y'all next time.